Hi, I'm Pauline. I'm from SDSC, Singapore Disability Sports Council. I have here with me Aini, and today's session of Hangout with Athlete, we have our physical impairment. So I'll introduce to you SDSC and the sports available at SDSC. Then we will have Aini to speak about herself. So SDSC was set up in 1973 to champion sports accessibility for persons with disability. We believe in dignity, capability, and the value of PWDs. We enable Singapore's PWD to excel in sports both recreationally and competitively. SDSC is the only organisation in Singapore to reach out across to all disability sports. So our mission and goals, we transform life of PWDs through sports. Firstly, we influence national initiatives and policies to introduce recreational sports and activities. We also promote mental and physical benefit of the sport. Second, we promote guidance for organizations, clubs and groups to become inclusive to PWD and improve access to para sports. For example, we enter mainstream schools to promote para sports to our CCAs. Aini, have you been to one of our mainstream schools to introduce sports?
Yes, actually as part of athlete engagement, I went to a mainstream secondary school to share more about para sports, especially the sports that I'm doing, para powerlifting. So during this session, I shared more with the students how people with disability, especially lower limbs disability, do sports in para powerlifting.
So last one, we promote education and host national programs to enable PWD to train, participate, and excel in sports. For example, we hold annual competitions for para sports to enable PWDs to join. Next up, the benefits of sports. We teach independence as well as teamwork. We help the community to meet one another of the common interests and also different sports that bring them together. We open up exciting opportunities and challenges. We support them through socializing and social inclusion, and also contribute to their cognitive, mental, and emotional development. Next up, these are different types of sports that para sports are categorized into. Right here, we have Aini, who is under the physical impairment, a disability, which is under the short stature. So we have different physical impairment like amputee, cerebral palsy, spinal bifida, muscle dystrophy, and others like wheelchair users or the loss of lower limbs or upper limbs. So Aini, do you want to speak more about your short stature under the physical impairment?
Okay, so I have this physical disability called multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, which hinders the growth of both my knees. So due to this condition, as a result, I have short stature. So due to short stature, this physical disability have also hindered my mobility. So I have restricted mobility as well.
So under intellectual, we also have the IQ level below 75. They must be diagnosed before the age of 18. We have autism and Down syndrome. Next up, sensory. For visual impairment and the hard of hearing, there are also different types of severity. So here are the list of sports that we have at SDSC. Athletics, swimming, 10-pin bowling, table tennis, go ball for visual impairment, shooting, powerlifting, lawn bowl, sailing, chess, and also adaptive climbing. So these are the most, this list actually caters to our physical impairment, where you can actually look through the list and is for the physical impairment like athletics, we have the track and field, we have wheelchair racing, we have boccia, we have cycling, shooting, swimming, table tennis, 10-pin bowling, and wheelchair basketball. So in SDSC, in our pathway development, we recruit, nurture, and develop. So something like when we hold our events, we introduce awareness and outreach to our PWDs. We build up the interest in sports. So PWDs will come in and enjoy the sports that we have, and then we will nurture them through learn to play programs. So when we expose different sports to them, they can actually sign up for the program that we have, and it will be more of the expertise of the sports. And next up, we have the development, where they will specialize in the sport and learn to compete. So for example, our national games, they can actually come in, join, and have their results taken down. So these are the past major games and events that were organized by SDSC. We have our National Para Games for cycling in 2018. We have our National Boccia Championship in 2019. And also a Micron Foundation Singapore World Para Bowling Tour that was held in 2018. And major games like ASEAN Para Games in 2015 and 2017. And the last edition was ASEAN Games 2018 in Indonesia. So now, we will come to a part where Aini will talk about herself and give you more in-depth about her journey in para powerlifting. Aini?
Hello everyone, I'm Aini. I'm Team Singapore Para Powerlifter. I'm 29 years old this year and I've been doing para powerlifting for 4 years. I have this physical condition called multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, or commonly known as MED, which affects my bone growth and resulted to my short stature. So as for my hobbies, I prefer the outdoors, mainly kite flying and also exploring new places. And when I'm indoors, I prefer to spend time with my family, doing cooking or even reading. So a little bit fun fact about myself is that I've never heard about para powerlifting prior to doing this sport. In fact, I've never done any weight training at all. So my journey in para powerlifting was accidental, as my current teammate Kalai Vanan, he was the one who introduced para powerlifting to me in 2015 when Singapore hosted the ASEAN Para Games. However, in 2015, I was still schooling and the competition date clashes with my exam date, so I had to give that a miss. Then in 2017, Kalai messaged me again and said that you must have graduated. We are going to Kuala Lumpur for the 2017 ASEAN Para Games. Are you interested to participate? So that's when I came down for the trial just for fun. I didn't have any expectations, and that's where I lifted 35 kilograms. 35 kilograms was the bronze medal during the ASEAN Para Games in Singapore. And then 2 days later, I received a call from the Singapore National Paralympic Council that I'll be flying to Kuala Lumpur to represent Singapore for the ASEAN Para Games. And then everything else is history.
Wow, okay. So we can, now on these pictures here, you can tell us more about what was your experience like when you were on the competition mat. Yeah.
Okay, so para powerlifting, in comparison to the able-bodied powerlifting, para powerlifting only comprises of one discipline, which is the bench press. Okay, so para powerlifting mainly is for athletes with lower limb deficiency. So when we do bench press, we actually lay on the bench and then we will strap both our legs. So the reason for strapping is because sometimes when the weight get too heavy, your legs will flip over. So this strapping is to avoid that from happening. Okay, so usually before I start my lifts, I usually have fears and also I doubt myself because I feel like, wow, this weight is very heavy. How can I do this? But the few minutes before I actually started my lift, my coach actually have do some mental preparation with me. He will run through all the processes that I have to focus on instead of me focusing and worrying about the weight that I'm lifting.
Right.
So that actually helped a lot in calming myself down and to remain composed during my lifts.
Okay, next we have Aini at the KL Games in 2015. That was her first game before she went to Indonesia for ASEAN Games. Can you tell us more how you actually feel when you were at the KL Games?
Yes, so my very first competition for powerlifting was the ASEAN Para Games in Kuala Lumpur in 2017. So before that, I've never competed in any powerlifting competition in Singapore. And this was also my first time representing Singapore in a regional competition. So I was very, very nervous, and I was the only female athlete in the powerlifting team. So it was also my coach first time coaching a female athlete. So we didn't know what to expect in terms of preparation prior to the game, and it was my first experience. So I was really, really nervous. Like I suddenly I forgot like how to what should I do when I go out. Should I smile or should I be too friendly or not? Yeah, but something that's stick with me till this day is that my family and friends actually flew down to watch me during the Kuala Lumpur ASEAN Para Games. So even though I was on unfamiliar ground, when I came out during the athlete presentation and I heard my mom's voice, I saw my friends, that gave me a huge sense of relief, and I felt really comfortable to know that they are there with me. Yeah, so that feeling of familiarity, that there are people who are close to me that are watching me, that really helped me to calm down during my very first competition.
Okay, let's know more about yourself other than your major games. So what's your weekly schedule like when you go for trainings?
Okay, so I train 3 times a week. I train mainly on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, about 2.5 hours per session.
Right.
Yeah, so my coach, he will come up with the training program. So on Monday, usually we do heavier weights where I will get to test my strength. And then on Wednesday, I will do more on endurance work. And then Friday, I will work on my techniques, because powerlifting is a very technical sports where they actually mark you based on the technicalities of your lifts.
Right. Okay. So like based on other than powerlifting, you actually tried other sports also, and I think you actually mentioned that you tried wheelchair basketball. So there's like team sport and individual sport. Would it be how do you feel when you actually enter a different environment in terms of the sport?
As compared to powerlifting, where it's more an individual sport, wheelchair basketball you have more teammates.
Yeah.
So it's not really like when you train, you have more people with you.
Yep.
And when you suffer through training, you also have more people with you. Yeah. So as compared to powerlifting, where it's just you alone.
Yep.
Yeah. In wheelchair basketball, you have teammates going through the whole process with you. But having said that, even in powerlifting, when I was doing my lifts alone, I actually have a team of people supporting me, and which are my teammates. Yeah, so during training, when I'm almost on the verge of giving up, my teammates will cheer me on. Yeah, so that's the one that keep me going during trainings.
Okay. I think we also can know about your education. Like, I understand that you are from a mainstream school since young, and then what you went through during your activities, like your CCAs in school. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so I'm fortunate that my teachers and friends are very inclusive when it comes to doing physical activity in school with me. So mainly in secondary school, I was into swimming. So I was interested to do like biathlons, triathlons. So I can't do the full biathlons and triathlons by myself. So my teacher actually recommended that I participated the relays instead. So I will do swimming, and then my friend will do the running and cycling portion. Yeah, so that made me feel like, hey, you know, I can still do sports competitively despite my condition. And then when I went to university, I really wanted to try out dragon boating.
Right.
Yeah, so but I was afraid to try out dragon boating because I thought, wow, you know, it's very hectic. Like I see people training and running around the school, and I thought to myself, oh, I can't run. You know, how do I keep up with the team? And then, but I emailed the team captain at that time, and then the team captain say like, oh, you just come down, we'll cater, you know, like we'll customize the training program for you. So when my teammates are running around the school for training, I will be doing the rowing machine. Yeah, so this kind of adjustment in the training program really made me feel welcome and made me feel like I really want to give a try in that sport.
Yeah. What about your game rituals? Like just now you mentioned that you were very nervous, but after that, now that you have been in SDSC sports, you actually been to a few more competitions. What do you normally do now when you compose yourself?
I still get very nervous even after 4 years of competing because it's a very different environment each time I compete, and sometimes I see different competitors also. Yeah, but to keep myself down, I listen to my playlist. So my go-to fight song is Hall of Fame by The Script. Yeah, so every time before I go for competition, I will listen to that song. It's like you know, like a mantra for me before my competitions. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think you can know more like how we want to tell your audience, our audience, like any message to them in PWD, like how you want to join a PI sports.
Okay, so any message, okay, one message that I would like to share with the audience is that although I have done sports prior to joining para-powerlifting in school, but it was a different kind of environment because I was doing sports with people mainly who are able-bodied. So I was trying to play catch-up with them. And sometimes I also have this major fear of missing out, FOMO, right? So when I tried to push myself further, which resulted to, you know, some kind of injuries, which was worsening my condition. But when I started doing para sports, and that's when I realized, like, hey, my disability is not the one holding me back, it's my mentality. And my disability actually made me realize my true ability. And I will not be able to, you know, be who I am today if it's not for the things I learned during my involvement in para sports.
Yeah.
To end off, let us share with you a video of our training journey. Please enjoy. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Powerlifting is all about discipline. It's what you put your mind to. If you have the right mindset, you can achieve what you want to achieve. I'm Nur'Aini, Team Singapore Para Powerlifter.
I'm Kalaiwanan, Team Singapore Para Powerlifter. I met Aini, my teammate, in 2015. I was working out and I spotted her. When I saw her bench press, I asked her to join the team. She had a bit of grit and fight in her despite her small stature. Aini is new to the sport, but give her another 4 or 5 years, she'll be a champion.
Despite his age, Kalai has a very strong fighting spirit. Seeing him give his best during training motivates me to train and keep going in this sport. My motto is, it's heavy now, but soon it'll be my warm-up. When you do it for the first time, it's difficult, but if you do it every day, it gets easier. There are no words to describe how it feels when I'm underneath the bar. All I think about is that I have to push this weight and give it my all. Being an athlete is an honor. Apart from representing the country in games, I also get to challenge myself and improve myself in my performance. My hope for the Manila Games is to do my best and improve my personal ranking in the world standing.
Even though she lifts less than half of what I'm lifting, I'm inspired by Aini. Considering her size, her age, and how long she started in this sport, she's doing far better than I am. She doesn't give up.